All right, Mom. How you doing?
Doing fine, mijo.
Hey, it's June 12th, 2025. 74, not 70, 54 years ago, you got married. And I believe it's Wabato, Washington. Tell us a little bit about, getting up, whatever you remember from getting up that morning, getting ready to go to Wabato for your wedding.
Well, I remember that we were. It was me and your aunt Rosemary. Uh, we were in our bedroom getting ourselves ready. Um, I got up about 8 o'clock, I think. Yeah, and I went. And both of us went to go get our hair done. Even my mom, your grandma. Um, we got our hair fixed. I got my hair. In those days, we used to use high pitch curls down here, and your aunt Rosemary had hers, and Grandma Cabrera had her hair. Um, we got our clothing. We took it to the church, and by the time they finished us with our hair, it was already about 10, and we drove over there. I think your Uncle John is the one that drove it. He was already dressed, and to the church.
What
And
church?
Wapato, the Assembly of God of Wapato, speaking, they spoke Spanish in that church because we belong to the Spanish Assembly of God. And I picked that church because the one where I went with my parents, it was too small. Wapato was about the biggest one that was, I wanted to have an Assembly of God. I didn't want to pick no other church. I wanted a church that we knew and the people knew us and everything. So we were there. There was already people there getting things decorated and all that. And I remember walking through the aisle to go to the rooms where we were gonna change, and my mom was in there. Then your grandma Franco later on came in. Your aunt Rosie was there. Even my sister Rosemary, and they were all there doing helping me with my dress, and um, it was sort of uh, I remember I was getting nervous, but not nervous because I was getting married, because I wasn't sure if everybody was going to be okay, because uh, we had a little trouble with you, uh, your aunt, not trouble, but feelings between Chris and your aunt Monica. Your aunt Monica wanted to be a flower girl, and so did Chris. You know, um,
How old were they?
12.
Oh, wow, 12 years
Flower
old.
girls were supposed to be small little girls, but they wanted to be flower girls. So I said, oh, I don't know what I did. I put both of them to be sort of like a small, what do you call it? A small walking with each other, and then separating, but being around me. Your aunt Monica one side, and your cousin Chris on the other side, and they were fine, because I wanted little girls, and I hated to tell them I didn't want no little girl. I wanted small little girls, and the little girl that I got was some friend of your dad. His name was Joe, Joe something, and but I knew the mother. Her name was Mona, and she had the most cutest little girl. And your Uncle Sam and that little girl, your Uncle Sam was ahead of her, and the little girl was throwing flowers, you know, and it was really nice. And your grandpa marched me out and marched me inside, and everybody, I'm sorry, everybody was just looking at me and grandpa. But grandpa didn't smile at all. He had a real serious look in his face. And I was smiling, and your dad saw me, and he smiled too, and we smiled at each other. The pastor that married us, it was Brother Jaramillo, Mando Jaramillo, and he did a really nice job. And then we had cake, and it was only about all that work we did. before, you know, for only 25 or 30 minutes of, because we had the rope, we had the dimes. That's about it. No, just the rope we had. We had a rope.
Lasso?
The lasso. Yeah, we had that. And then the rings. And your Uncle Sam had that. No, Sammy Jaramillo had that. I think the pastor's son, he had that. And it was after that. The thing about our dinner, everything. Your grandpa Franco made it. Your dad gave him the money to buy all the food, but your grandpa forgot to buy. I don't think they had tortillas. Nobody made the tortillas then. They should have gone to the ranchito. They had corn tortillas. But that's what your dad said, that he told him go to a ranchito and buy corn tortillas. But I don't know. We had says, your dad asked your Aunt Rosie, where's the corn tortillas? And she went, we forgot to buy it. So they went and bought bread. Can you imagine eating Mexican food with bread?
Was it Wonder Bread?
Probably so.
Or hillbilly bread?
No, I don't know what kind of way, but we were eating. And I felt so embarrassed, and your dad was a little bit upset. I said, it's okay, that's something we can remember when we Mexican food with white tortilla, white bread.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, then we went, we had we had a lot of people come. There's four churches, 4 or 5 churches that are Assembly of God. And we had all those churches come to my wedding, and the pastors. And in those days, they didn't believe in having get together and having dance, you know, a place to dance. But we didn't do those things. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with it. It's just that in those days they were really strict and the way you dress, the way and everything, you know, just totally strict. But now I like it. When my grandkids get married, they're gonna dance. They're gonna show that there's happiness in marrying. And
you gotta say, we want to dance. La Mamba.
Yeah. Who was that? Was his name?
Richie Valens.
Yeah, Ricky. Yeah. But anyway, then we went on our honeymoon, and we came back, and everybody when they saw us, it was embarrassing because they acted like they didn't know us, that we were strangers, and we were together and holding hands and all that. Your dad didn't care. I was more embarrassed, not embarrassed, but more, how do you say, nervous, I would say. But it was a nice wedding. You know, Brother Jaramillo, he was a little bit nervous. He did a good job, but he was really nervous. I don't know why he was shaking. You know, I don't know that was his first wedding he's done before, but because all the pastors knew Joe, your dad, because of his testimony, the way he lived, and he was a big salvation for a man that was the way he was, and they knew him. Like his name was Bear, and they said Bear was because also that means he was mean, you know, which he was. That's what they told me, you know, that he was a mean man, but God saved him. Before I even knew him, I remember that one time I was praying in the altar, and just me and the Lord talking to him, and I heard from far in the other corner, a distance away, someone crying, just crying, but it was a different cry, a cry of asking, love. I can't explain it, but I remember one thing that I heard him say. Of all the people, why did you pick me? Why did you pick me to change? He says, you could have picked someone else. I was bad. And you still picked me? And he was crying. And I had to get up to see who he was. I stopped praying. I had to get up to see who was that person that I didn't recognize the voice. I didn't know who he was. But I know it was a man, you know, older person. And I got up, and as I walked real slow, I looked down, and I saw your dad. He was wearing a white shirt with a tie, a blue tie, and his shirt was just soaking wet. Just soaking wet of tears. And I always, that's why I said to myself, that's the kind of person I want to marry. That's the kind of person I want to live with. Not knowing that he was already chosen. You know? The first time I met him, that's the time of prayer. First time I met him, I was 8 years old. And Grandma and I went to the store. Grandma had to buy something. And I went to the store with her because she asked me. But I also wanted a Hershey, not a Hershey, a sherbet ice cream. You know, the yellow ones that sort of orange with a little stick like this. It had a little spoon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I went there and Grandma was looking for went to go look what she wanted. And I saw the Hershey, but it was way in a corner. It was a chest. It was an ice chest. And Mrs. Cooper, the owner of that place, was Mrs. Cooper. She had a little, block.
What was the name of the store?
A Cooper store.
Cooper store.
Mm-hmm. And we went there and was it the OK Market? No, I'm not sure what it was. Yeah, I think it was the OK Market. That's what it was. And we went there and I went there and I got on top of it and I stretched as much. There was hardly nothing in there, just that only sherbet ice cream, and I stretched as far as I could, and I fell in the chest. I fell in there and I started screaming because I couldn't get out, and I was screaming and crying, and all I knew that somebody grabbed me from the waist and put me down. I was still crying, and that person that put me down was your dad. He didn't even know. I was only 8 years old. And he said he only remembers those big eyes and those big lips. That's all he remembers. Because here comes Grandma Cabrera banging him with her purse. Bang, you left my daughter alone. You quítate de mi hija. Bang. And he said it looked like it had rocks inside of it. Her purse, she had a lot of things in it. And your dad and his friend, that they got some wine and stole wine and they ran down. After we got married, me and him, I was 16. I got married to him when 18. No, I'm sorry, Joey. I was 8 years old. And when I was 8 years old, it was, first time I saw him was I was 18. He was 26. We got married when I was 21. And after we got married, he was telling me all about the streets that he hanged around with, where he lived and everything. And we stopped by the OK Market. And he says, one thing I want to tell you. He says, me and one of my buddies, he goes, went to the OK Market and we were going to get some wine for us to go to the river. Well, he says, my friend went to go get it, and I was supposed to be the watch person. And then I heard someone yelling and screaming, and I went to look, and I saw these little skinny little legs kicking and screaming, moving, and it was a little girl, and I picked her up, and all I remember was those big eyes and full of tears and her big lips, and all of us, here comes this. He goes, this crazy woman hit me in the head because I was helping her daughter, and I kept telling her, she fell, I'm just helping her, and wham, oh, wham, oh. And we ran. And I was listening to your dad, and I says, Joe, and he kept talking and talking, he didn't stop, he said, Joe, he said, yeah, that little girl is me. What? Yeah. That little girl was me. You picked me up. I was wearing shorts, and you picked me up. You got me from the waist, and you picked me and put me down real gently. And my mom hit you with a black purse. Yeah, it was black. He goes, it was you? He goes, really surprising. And we started laughing and laughing and laughing. That was the only time I ever met him. Yeah. And after that, not until
for you.
Okay, I was gonna ask you something. I don't, do I, how do I know about what's my milk